So if you're Netflix, do you want to face an entirely Disney-owned Hulu or a Disney plus Comcast Hulu?
I think that we don't think about the Netflix versus Hulu battle as zero-sum. I actually think a lot of this is a war on the cable companies. And so a Hulu bundled package, I think, is just going to provide an awesome new channel for people to subscribe to. But the amount of value that people are getting if you're Netflix or Hulu for $12 a month, I mean, that's a steal relative to what cable providers are charging you today. So I think that it's going to create just a second channel that people subscribe to. Netflix, we feel like, still has a lot of pricing power baked into it.
But I guess I'm asking, decisive action from one owner or huge content library potentially from two, which is more potent, do you think?
Definitely. I mean, a Comcast plus Disney combination is definitely a more formidable competitor against Netflix. You want as much fragmentation on the content side as possible. That makes Netflix's leverage and negotiating power to negotiate those content rights that much stronger, and it costs them less. I mean, the big debate with Netflix right now is their content expense and how much money they're spending on content. And so if they can push those expenses down, they can crank their profits up, and that, I think, is better for Netflix. But in the long run, we think that users are getting a tremendous amount of value for both products, and you're going to see pricing go up for Netflix and Hulu both, and I think consumers, it's still a win for them.
Julio, what does this mean near term for content on Hulu if AT&T is exiting this stake, given, and also longer term, given the fact that it too is building out its own service? How does that play out?
Well, look, we don't have a lot of details on what AT&T is planning to launch. They've talked about this three-tiered service they're working on, but we still don't really understand exactly what that's going to look like and how the price points will be competitive with what else is out there. But one thing I think is important to remember, Morgan, when we talk about Hulu versus Netflix, Disney Plus, the one thing that Hulu has that Netflix doesn't have is live TV, in addition to its direct-to-consumer on-demand option, which is more akin to what Netflix has. Hulu also offers a skinny streaming bundle. We're talking about $45 a month for a smaller package of what you would get from a pay TV provider. Now, this has been successful so far with Hulu. It seems like they're having growth out of the gate with this. And the question really is whether or not this skinny bundle, which is very different than what Netflix has, is going to prove to be a real alternative and gain ground versus the more traditional fatter TV bundle that the cable and satellite TV providers offer. So I think the thing here is that right now Hulu has all the rights from its parent companies and its older parent companies, including Warner Media. And the question is, as these rights expire going forward, does that change what Hulu looks like and who wants to buy it? But right now, both Comcast and Disney have an incentive to want this service that they both own a piece of to really succeed, especially as they go up against Netflix.
Nimay, Netflix is one thing. There's one flavor. But if you look at Disney and Comcast, you've got Disney Plus, you've got Hulu, you've got ESPN, you've got Comcast NBCU doing this ad-supported thing. Does it matter whether consumers are looking for essentially another big smorgasbord of options or if they're just looking for simplicity?
I mean, it all comes down to price. So if I can get ESPN and live TV for $30 a month or $40 a month, I'm going to subscribe to it because that's great value. I think that if I'm in Comcast shoes, I'm definitely not selling anytime soon out of my Hulu stake because Disney's going to put all of their weight and wherewithal in making this successful. They're going to throw a ton of content behind that paywall, and they're going to keep the prices low to get subscribers on board.
You think maybe AT&T didn't want to sell, but they've got other pressing issues?
Yeah, and you know, it's a $400 billion business, so $1.5 billion stake for them. I mean, it doesn't really move the needle one way or the other. I think in the case of Comcast, like 30%, a third of the business is a lot of value, and maybe this thing could be worth Netflix one day. That's $50 billion. I'd hold out.